Here it is, folks. Here we are. Happy Wednesday. Happy new comic book day. First off, as well, I don't know why I've never said that. We do these shows on Wednesdays for how long? I've never said happy comic book day to anyone on the show. It doesn't make any sense at all. This is the type of professionalism that you're getting, folks. I completely didn't even get it. Look, it doesn't matter. Every day's new comic book day if you think about it.
365 days, right?
That's it. All right, folks. So we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on in comic books, especially after New York Comic Con was this past weekend, and my head is still kind of reeling from some of the things I saw, some of the rooms I got to be in with certain people who were awesome. We're going to talk about that. We've got Kickstarters, we've got news stories, we've got new comics coming out, we've got a line of comics coming out. One of my favorite writers is going to be embarking on something great, and we're going to be talking about some really in-depth stuff as far as script writing. Robert, are you ready?
I'm so ready. I'm ready to go.
All right, let's get it. Folks, let's have some fun. Hey, folks, what's up? And welcome to TBA News, presented to you by the Hungry Bleak channel. This is your comics culture update. I am Antonio Pomares, a.k.a. the Hungry Bleak.
And I am Robert J. or Jeffrey, the esteemed co-host of this magnificent podcast.
There you go. Robert, how are you doing, Robert? You good?
I'm doing good. Today is good. It's Wednesday. We're halfway there. And looking forward to talking comics and geek culture. So how about yourself?
I'm doing well. There's a lot going on. I'm tired. I'm finally getting out of the sickness that I had. I didn't get sick because of the con. Yeah. I was a little sick before then, and then my friend was sick, so then they got me sick, and it was just it was like a sick sandwich. It was just one. It was like one of those old Dagwood sandwiches. I'm probably dating myself by saying Dagwood. Some of you have no idea what the hell that is, and I'm not going to apologize. Google it. No. Google is free. I don't care.
Don't apologize.
Go in your mother box that you got in your pocket and go Google Dagwood sandwich. I don't care. But it was great. A lot going on. That's my big con of the year. Glad I went, but there's a lot of stuff that was coming out of it, but we're going to get to that. But first up, Robert, you've got a review for a Kickstarter that was awesome.
Yeah. So the search for, and please forgive me if I mispronounce it, Sadiquah or Sadiquah, but it's a story series created by Greg Burnham of Tuskegee Airs fame, DC Comics writer, a lot of titles, a lot of titles to this man's name. But the graphic novel, there was a Kickstarter a few months ago, and I received a digital copy of the volume 1. And what this the story of this focuses on a 13-year-old girl named Sadiquah, and it's set during the 1920s, and against the backdrop of the Black Wall Street massacre, we get this like epic fantasy story that's being told. And so, like I said, against the backdrop of the tragedy of this entire community being razed to the ground and destroyed, and this young 13-year-old girl discovers that she has I'm trying to think of the right word, a destiny to fulfill. And she's on a quest to, like it says here, to find her ancestral home and reconnect with her family. And it becomes this story of this epic journey, starting out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and going westward to eventually she's trying to get to California, but she has a dragonfly who talks to her and her cousin that she's protecting. But there are a group of, and I don't want to give too much away, but there's a shadowy organization that's chasing her for a reason. And what we come to find out is that she is one in a long line of warriors. And was trained by her mom and her dad to prepare her for the journey that's to come. So, like I said, this is, I don't want to give too much with giving away. See, this is her mom and her dad protecting her. when the Tulsa massacre occurs. And one of the things that there are many things I like about the story, but one of the things that I love is that Greg and the team are able to expertly weave a huge fantasy adventure story that is focused on our history, as Black folks in this country, and the but it's a story that I think can be read by. It's one of the things that we talk about. I think we've spoken about in here is this feeling of trauma porn. If I,
Yeah.
where people are talking about our history within this country, and we are always the victims, right? So with this, it is a tragic event that happens, but it's one of those things where Greg is building this story where this young girl is coming out on the other side, and she is like ready to just do big things and save the day. And she actually at one point wants to go back and seek revenge for um, the trauma that her community and her parents specifically have suffered as a result of what happened in during the massacre. So it's a mixture of, I call it, shout out to Milton Davis, steampunk
Oh,
meets a historical narrative, and it's epic, kind of like fantasy adventure, and it's nothing but Black people at the center of the story. Um, and so I was a fan of the first issue. I think it was like issue 0, issue 1 that I picked up. But when I got when the opportunity for the trade came up, I decided to hop on it, and you get a full graphic novel of this great story. And I wanted to just give a shout out to the team. You have Greg Burnham, writer creator, Marcus Williams, Siski Years, Popeye, Captain America, and so forth. Shannon Sapenter, Patricia Degusan, Rodney Velchez, and Havana Nguyen, Mike Lenset, and Tia Ankum, and Tahila Ankum, who are also the creative team behind Fume. So shout out to that comic book also. And then we have Division Mains. I love this story that we're telling, that they're telling, and I'm hoping that we get more in addition to this, this first volume. But it's if you want something different than just kind of the normal superhero fare, I always say balance your superhero stuff with other great comic book work. This is one that you should check out, and I think that it's still available for like back order through the Kickstarter page,
mm-hmm.
Which is good. So definitely check this out. But I so my review was like 5 out of 5, for the trade, and I think people would enjoy this because it's empowering, it's action filled, and it's just a great story.
Outstanding. I mean, a lot of great stories, lots of great stuff comes out of Kickstarter as well, which is become just a really boom for, especially for Black indie creators to really get
Yeah.
their work out there, pre-ordering it like that. Speaking of Kickstarters, we have this one coming up, which is Musa, Lion of Mali Kickstarter. Isn't out just yet, but I wanted to give you a heads up. I had the ability to see a test of this 120 page historical fantasy epic at Ray Media comics table. Excuse me, Ray Media table at New York Comic Con. I'm TJ Sterling there. And the test looked incredible. I thought it was actually ready. I was like, wait, this is out already? And I was ready to buy it at that point. He's like, oh, no. This is a test. I was like, yeah, you about to test my pocket? Here, you about to give me this. But it looked phenomenal, which is what I would expect from the quality of Ray Media,
Yeah.
Of Ray Comics, because they just do just phenomenal work. So this is basically a story of the tagline is Mansa Musa, the wealthiest man in history, steps off the pages of legend in this epic tale of family, magic, and epic and empire building. Yeah, this was before your Bezoses and your all these oligarch trash bags out here. You had Musa, who was the richest, most wealthiest man in history. So I love when historical figures are taken and used in um, historical fantasy or like alt history stories, and they put in either steampunk or they put in supernatural stuff or
Yeah.
horror or something like that. I always enjoy those stories because I love it being kind of based and grounded in reality, and then it
Hmm.
putting that twist on it. I always think that's a really fun thing. Um, so I love that. So basically, it says, imagine the world's richest man was also the world's most fierce and powerful warrior. Mansa Musa and his brother Suleiman served their uncle, the great king Abu Bakari. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. While the king rules over the great nation of Mali, his nephews act as the sword of the mighty continent. Right there alone, I love it. I've got to have it. I should have just grabbed the book and ran, truthfully. But I was wearing Chucks and I didn't have the right ankle support, so I probably would have just fell and rolled all over the place, and then it would have just been embarrassing. It's probably something somebody would have caught on video. It's fine, whatever. But yeah, this is one that's coming up. The Kickstarter is not live yet, but what I would like for you to do is please go to the Kickstarter page. They have a launching soon page. Go on there and click on notify. You'll either get a text message if you a notification if you have the app on your phone or tablet. If you don't, they'll send you an email letting you know when the Kickstarter is live. The more people that sign up for Kickstarters before they even start and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, I like it," they get more of a push when they actually do go live. They also can become a project that they love, which is some big thing on Kickstarter. You get right on the front page. It's very
Hmm.
important. I'm telling you, when I looked at it, it looked incredible. Amazing, nice, bright colors. The book looks glossy and amazing, absolutely incredible. And the story, just from the pages I read, were like, bet this is on. That's why I should have stole it. Sorry, TJ. I know I shouldn't be saying that, but I should have stole that book. I should have, or at least had cash and threw the cash at you, blind you, and
Just
then ran away
run.
with the book. I was like, either way, you would have got it. But all jokes aside, this was like an incredible story. Absolutely love it. Ray Comics is known for quality and different types of stories, whether
Hmm.
you've got Joystick Angels, whether you've got Okimus,
Yeah.
um, Shattered Visions, the one of my favorite stories possible, which is a great crossover between Ray Comics and Dream Fury Comics.
Yeah.
So really go and check this out. Go hit this page up. And so you will know when the Kickstarter is live. When it's live, I'm definitely going to be pledging, and I cannot wait to review this one as well. And this was on point. I'm going to be really happy to read it, honestly.
Nice. Nice.
You know,
I mean, quite quiet as it's kept. I got
I mean,
something coming out with them too. So,
I'm loving all
like,
of the crossover and everybody's
yeah,
diving into each other's pools and just creating a network of
yeah,
creatives. This is what the beauty part is. It's everybody getting together and saying, "Hey, I like what you do. You this what and going on." I think
hmm,
that's cool and amazing, and that's what it's all about. So yeah, I'm really up for that.
yeah.
Uh,
This looks amazing. Musa looks amazing. Amazing.
yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. Now you've also got one, which is you're going to be talking about Jar Jar Star Wars.
Yeah.
Was not expecting
Um,
that one.
it's,
I'm
it's,
gonna be. I'm not trying to be funny. I was not expecting when I
yeah, I
saw Jar
mean,
Jar. I was like, Robert's messing with me because I'm
yeah,
not
I
making a
mean,
story about
it's
Jar Jar.
you know, I'll keep this short. I was not a big fan of Jar Jar with
Mhm.
the original movies, and he's been a character that has kind of slowly but surely kind of grown on me, um, and primarily because of hearing the story of the brother behind the character Ahmed Best,
Okay,
um,
yeah,
and his experiences with just loving Star Wars, being a part of this universe, what he brought to playing the role, but in addition to that, a few seasons ago on The Mandalorian, here's a spoiler: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I sound like Janet Jackson, the new song. Anyway, so um, it was revealed that his character, he plays a new character named Jedi Master Kelleron Beck. And in season 3, episode 4, the episode's called "The Foundling." He saved Baby Yoda. He saved Baby Yoda from during the massacre at the Jedi Temple in Coruscant when Anakin said, "F them kids," and so he was. So he's a Jedi, and if you watch the episode, there's a really awesome action sequence where Ahmed Best is just kicking butt and taking names as a Jedi. So now, in the lore, he is Jedi Master Beck, in addition to Jar Jar Binks, and as during New York Comic Con, it was revealed or announced that he would be co-writing a comic book series called Jar Jar. With Mark Guggenheim, and if you know that name, Mark Guggenheim he's a well-known comic book writer, but also if I got my names right, he was big behind the Arrowverse. So he's co-writing the series with Ahmed Best, and it looks like his series is going to be drawn by. I don't have looking for the artist's name. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to switch tabs. And I think we just can you see that? You see the tab?
Yeah. Yep. It's up.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And I'm looking for the artist's name, but no artist just yet. But the summary of the series of the one shot apparently is going to Jar Jar faces the consequences of giving emergency powers to Chancellor Palpatine, and what pivotal role does Jar Jar play in the formation of the Rebel Alliance? Guest starring fan favorite Jedi Knight Kelleran Beck. So what I think is really cool about this is that you get an opportunity to see, you give this actor this opportunity to write a story that focuses on two big characters, from Star Wars lore that he has played, that he has portrayed. And I know the Phantom Menace era has a huge fandom, and then the Mandalorian has its fandom nowadays, and so like pulling from those fandoms in addition to Star Wars in general is pretty big. So when I saw the announcement, I just wanted to talk about it a little bit and just kind of give flowers, give this brother the credit where he's due, because he's helped, like I said, bring these characters to life. And I remember when the episode came out with him in The Mandalorian, I think all of us, all the Black geeks, we collectively were like, yo, because the man is just, he is huge within the Star Wars fandom. So to see him, being a part of this again was big. So I like hearing stuff like this. I think there have been other times where actors have come in to kind of help flesh their characters out in different mediums, but I'm definitely looking forward to this, and also just the timeline and of the rise of the Empire and what Jar Jar as a senator had a hand in possibly doing with that, but also helping to build the Rebel Alliance. So definitely worth. Like I said, I'll be checking it out. But yeah, Jar Jar #1. So it sounds like it might just be kind of a one shot. Hopefully it can be something longer. But like I said, we'll see. But yeah, shout out to Ahmed Best and Mark Guggenheim and the whole creative team. Looking forward to this.
It's not something I would have bet on. Like the minute I hear Jar Jar, I hear Binks, and the name just sounds so incredibly racist. I think that's why nobody said Binks. I'm not even trying to be funny. That's why Binks is not on there. I think the whole name sounds so just horrible, truthfully. But to see a character like Jar Jar getting this redemption, and it's good. It's always nice to see something that wasn't done well. We can look at Jar Jar. We can look at the Transformers at a certain point. Two particular Autobots that everybody was like, "What in the hell is," you know what I mean? But to see characters get redemption because someone sees them and they go, "I bet I can make that character great, good or great, and I can give that character a redemption that's worthy." And then to see them do it and go, and then to make them more fleshed out and more of a part of that universe is always cool to see. So I'm glad to see Jar Jar is getting that chance at redemption and getting that chance to be more and better, because in the Star Wars universe, everyone has such potential to be such great and incredible parts of this iconic lore. You know what I mean? From someone who you may not think of at all to someone who is holding a lightsaber. And everyone has that potential in because that universe is so incredible and it's so fantastic. So to see a character who was so uh, looked at like, no, and never no, getting this chance is beautiful. So I love seeing things like that. So it's awesome to see. And that's
Yeah.
great. And that's going to be the future of Star Wars. But the future of the X-Men. So another thing from New York Comic Con, I was checking out panels and I said, look, okay, I don't know what panel to do. I was like, oh, I saw a panel for X-Men. I said, yeah, all right, cool, bet. Then I saw that it was in the Empire room. I said, oh, this is going to be big. So I had to go in there, stood up in the room for about an hour, 10 minutes maybe, literally standing up in the back because it was standing room only. And they began to talk about the X-Men and the future of the X-Men with this big panel. And they talked about the Shadows of Tomorrow, which are basically, which is this line of comics going to be coming out of the age of rejuvenation. And they had names like Jed McKay, who y'all know I've talked about, huge fan. Moon Knight, Bloodlust, alone, those two things got me. But Moon Knight definitely pulled me in and let me know who Jed McKay was. Artist Ryan Stegman, Benjamin Percy, Ashley Allen, Eve L. Ewing, who I have an incredible story about. She was so awesome. So there's about 16 titles that are going to be birthed from the Age of Revolution storyline. Now, this is a storyline that's going to be happening X years in the future. 10, in case you don't know Roman numerals. Not judging you, I'm just saying some people don't use Roman numerals, just like some people don't know how to tell time on an analog clock. I don't know, whatever. So these titles are going to be coming out of that. Some titles are going to change a lot because of what happens in this storyline, the Age of Revolution, and then we're going to be getting the Shadows of Tomorrow. So it's going to be the ramifications of what happens. And there, like I said, 16 titles, and they were huge, big things going on. Some of the titles are that we're going to be getting. That everything takes place in between X-Men 23 and I think X-Men 24, I believe. X-Men, this is 24, and we have X-Men 22. So we're going to be getting these titles are still going to be there, but then we're going to be getting titles like a Wolverine title. Now I know we already have a lot of Wolverine titles, but this one is going to be from Saladin Ahmed.
Yeah, nice.
It's going to be awesome. But then we're going to get Cyclops is going to get a title also. This is Cyclops. He has to he's escorting this young mutant somewhere, and his visor ends up breaking, and they're also being chased by these hunters or marauders like type figures. So it's that mini series going on. I love the idea of that. I think I'm going to listen to that because I dig it. We're also getting Generation X 23. The art looks absolutely incredible. I love it. This is going to be from Jody Hauser, artist from Jacopo. Hope I'm saying that name probably. Kamanji. Also, Inglorious X-Men. This is the one that had me knocking folks over. I kicked somebody in their shin. I didn't care. I was in there committing all types of treachery. Cable, Boomer, Archangel, y'all already know. And Helverine, I believe this is the one. This is Helverine. This is awesome. This is going to be from Tim Seeley.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Absolutely, absolutely. Then we have Magic and Colossus. This had the room jumping. Absolutely, seeing these two together, a brother and sister, are so awesome. I love it. And this is going to be from Ashley Allen, who, like I said, was also there. And we're going to be getting Rogue's going to be getting a series. This one looks like it's going to be crazy good. This is going to focus on Rogue and Gambit and their relationship, which is solid as a rock, but it also is going to involve Rogue's parents as well. And this is going to be written by Erica Schultz. You have no idea. I'm such a huge fan of hers. Another one having a stellar last couple of years. Mystique and Destiny are going to be involved in this as well, and how that comes up with Rogue. And Rogue may be getting some of her memories back, and we're going to be seeing what that does to the world. We're also going to be getting Storm, Earth's mightiest mutant. Notice, and I didn't realize this as well, notice the lightning swords. What? It's about to be a whole different type of wreckage up in there. Honestly, this is going to be cool as well. And this is from the current writer of Storm.
Yeah.
As well, which I have to read that series because people have said that series is great. I haven't read it because I haven't read anything since Powers and House of X.
Yeah.
I need to catch up, and those were two phenomenal series. I haven't been around since the John Hickman era. Now this is a Jed McCade area, and he's out here knocking it down.
Rest in
Wade Will,
peace.
Deadpool. This one actually looks good, and I'm not a Deadpool reader, but this one looks like it's really good. It's going to have obviously the slapstick, fourth wall break and stuff like that, but it's also going to have some heart and crazy fights, which we would expect as well. So that's some of them. But I was talking about Eve Ewing, right? Yes, Eve Ewing, one of my favorite writers. Love what she did with Riri Williams. I love what she did with the champions and those young heroes. I love what she did with Black Panther. One of my favorite runs we were talking about before we were starting the episode. Well, they had a thing that came up that said, it said, well, what's the future of the X-Men? They said, what's the future of Eve Ewing? To have your name up there in particular is crazy because nobody else had their name up there in particular like that, saying what's the future. So this was a picture that they had up, and they were like, well, and down here, so like, what's the future of in Shadows of Tomorrow? What's the future of the X-Men? And what's the future of Eve Ewing? So this picture, they said, well, what was the picture like an homage to? And they said that it was an homage to the Avengers Initiative comic. Oh, okay. That looks pretty cool. So what does that mean? Eve Ewing is not only going to be writing a series for, like in when the series birthed at, which is Expatriate X-Men. She's going to have a big deal to do with this new era of X-Men coming up. I'm ecstatic to see what happens with this, and I want to see what's going on because, like I said, I'm a fan of hers. I always dig her work. So this got me excited to get back into the X-Men. Not that there aren't incredible writers already out there. I mean, the only person that was missing up there for me was Gail Simone. If Gail Simone had been in there, I'd have been screaming. Y'all have seen me on YouTube, TMZ, just in the back, fan geeking the hell out. But I want to know what's going to happen there. So this big event, Eve's name being up there in particular, yeah, I'm all for this. I'm a fan of the X-Men, dig the X-Men. So seeing this, yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all about Eve Ewing. Let's go, let's rock. That was the panel was crazy. Like I said, it was standing room only.
Yeah.
Which is awesome, and I loved it. And it was a really great room. She also had, I will say real quick, Eva Ewing, the young person stood up. They were in cosplay. They were dressed up as Captain America, Sam Wilson, Captain America. I couldn't really see, but I was looking across, and they got up to me because they had a Q&A. Asked a question. The person said, well, will there be anyone who is autistic in the X-Men? Don't see anyone who's a front-facing autistic person in the X-Men, which does seem kind of odd because the X-Men is all about inclusion and diversity and everything like that. Eve had two of the best answers I think I've heard the whole time at New York Comic Con. She had an answer where she said, okay, well, how about I say, I'm going to work on that for you. And I believe the hell out of her when she said that. So be on the lookout because of what she's doing and because of her amazing writing and because her name was up there in particular. I believe that we're going to be getting something else out there. Something that was also said is, the person came up again, asked a question. They said, well, how do you get information about science, actual basis of science, and then how do you equate it to their powers? Because nowadays, when you look at their powers and the way that they describe them, there's a lot of there's a at least a seed, a nugget of actual science in there, and then they kind of just, obviously they just kind of, what have you. And they were like, well, do any of you have backgrounds in science? And so I forgot who it was. He says, like, well, none of us really have backgrounds in science and everything. And they were talking, and he said, well, I was a science middle school teacher. And I said, get in that ass, get in there. I said, yes, Eve Ewing. And then walking out of the room, we all walked by, and I was like, and they had the table where everybody was up, and they were signing things, what have you. And I just walked by, and I wanted to say something, and I just said, nope. And I just kept going. And I was like, just the fact of being in the room with certain creatives that are really cool that I enjoy and was awesome. So she had the best stuff going on that day. I was so happy to hear that answer. So proud I went in there. But X-Men, be on the lookout for Age of Rejuvenation. Age of Revelation, and then Shadows of Tomorrow. 16 titles. A couple of them came out already. Sinister 6, which is Mr. Sinister's 6.
Nice.
Going on. There's a title for Rogue and Storm, but that Storm title has got me. Also, X-Men, I have to get up because I love Gambit and Rogue, and if they're still married and they're supposed to be a rock solid relationship, I want to see how Destiny and Mystique are going to run into that. So that's going to be cool.
Love it.
All right. Also, speaking on Marvel,
Yeah, Marvel all day. It just this is the Marvel show. So I wanted to talk a little bit about or highlight this book called Marvel's Black Panther Script to Page. It's a book in a series called Script to Page: The Art and Craft of Writing Comics, and it's published by Titan Books. And so one of the things that I love to do is just read scripts. I love reading comic book scripts, movie scripts if I can find them. But one of the things, and normally these are online. These are online scripts because you just do a search for comic book scripts. I think there's even a website where you can find just dedicated to getting comic book scripts. And one of the ways that you continue to learn and grow as a writer is to just study the craft. So that that requires reading other scripts. One of the things that I noticed, though, which is unfortunate, is that you can't often find scripts published in a complete book. And I'm kind of a nerd where I like tactile feel. I like to actually hold the book in my hand as I read it. And so when I saw that there was this line of script books being put out by Marvel for Black Panther, Spider-Man, and the Avengers, I got all the copies. So I've been kind of trying to read. But the first one that I picked up was Black Panther. And this has been, when I tell you that it's been a great way of studying the craft of writing, I'm not lying. It's the great thing that I like is that they don't, for each of the books, they don't just focus on one particular run or one particular writer. So you get, in this case, Ta-Nehisi Coates, Roxane Gay, Brian Hill, Reginald Hudlin, and please forgive me if I mispronounce it, Nnedi Okorafor.
Nnedi Okorafor, yeah.
Yeah, so you get, thank you. So you're learning how to write comics at the pen or from the pen or from the type, the laptops, from some of the best who write these characters, right? Or write, contribute to this world. And we were talking like in the green room about like Ta-Nehisi Coates' run and how one of the good things I like about this book is that before each section of scripts, so you might get like 2 or 3 scripts per writer from a specific story arc, and they'll let you know the issue number, the volume, and all that. But for instance, at the beginning of the Ta-Nehisi Coates set of scripts, there's an interview where 2 people are discussing his style of writing, how he and I'm trying to remember, forgive me for forgetting the brother's name who drew this, who was the artist on that run. But basically how
Brian Stelfreeze,
yeah, Stelfreeze and Coates would talk back and forth, and Coates would, you saw basically they talk about his style of writing and how Stelfreeze adapted to that, or just like kind of worked with that, and how they worked in tandem. And so you're getting this background information, and then you just go right into the script. So one of the things that I've been trying to do when reading the scripts is go back and, in parallel or afterwards, depending on what the schedule allows, is reading those issues to see how they compare to the scripts. And it's a really, for like a nerd, writing nerd, it's amazing. It's like, I love just learning about the technique of, what it takes to, put together stories like this. So you have a wide variety of stories. You have different eras of stories going back to, the Hudlin run and most recent, the more recent stuff. But I say that if you're a comic book fan and you want to learn how, the sausage is made, or if you're a writer, a comic book writer, if you're a novice to like an expert, I recommend adding this book to your shelf because it's a really good resource. And it also just, like I said, you just learn how these funny books are made, how these comic books are made. And I always feel that if people actually study the craft, they will have an appreciation for it. And understand what it takes to kind of build these stories. But like I said, you have a wide variety of different types of stories, different writing styles. And I'm learning so much as I go through each of the books, like the Avengers, Black Panther, and Spider-Man. And the really cool thing about this is that it gives you insight into Wakanda and just this world in general. But like I said, I've been enjoying it so far, and definitely recommend it, to writers to check out.
Nice. Always good to have reference materials and things that just help you expand on your craft or whatever it is you're doing, especially with writing. So seeing something like this, not only can you enjoy it, but you can also learn and study it and
Yeah.
go, okay, this, and from some like really well-known and iconic writers who've written for those particular characters, which is awesome. So cool.
Yeah.
So last thing for story-wise anyway, this is one that came out of nowhere during the 20th anniversary panel for Boom, and they were like, oh well, what's next for Boom? This was announced. Swamp Thing is killing the children. It is going to be a crossover, Black Label, Swamp Thing, and Something is Killing Children. That's all I gotta say. I don't know what else to say about that. We all thought it was like a mistake when we saw the slide. We were like, and then James Tinney, who was in there, I was close enough where I saw like the two co-creators of Something's Killing Children sitting there talking, and I was just sitting there like, I hope you guys say something and I can like, oh my god, I don't believe this. But anyway, so this is really cool. I love this. Erica Slaughter is one of my favorite characters. Something's Killing Children is in my top 5 continuously, so I'm excited by this. Don't have a date yet, but it was reported by Popverse because I was also in the room there. This is going to be like a DC Black Label and Boom one shot, which is all this is just going to be so much fun. I don't even know what to say. That's the story. This is going to be a whole lot of fun, one shot, and that's all I need. I don't need a whole series for this. All I need is a one shot. Just the fact that we're getting something between Boom and DC Black Label is just cool to me as well. Again, more crossover stuff. We're getting more companies that are more willing to do it because the fans are doing it. And Tinian even said, this is something that I've wanted to do for so long. I constantly bring up Swamp Thing, and now to be able to get it, awesome, great. I'm happy. Let's go. Give me this book. I have nothing else to say. I want this. I want to see this fight. And just is going to be ridiculous because, Erica's one of my favorite characters. I love Swamp Thing. So, awesome. Great stuff. Robert, I'm going to give the floor to you for the next few minutes because I know you have something important that you wanted to say. And here you go.
I wanted, thank you. Sorry. A few days ago, we lost a woman by the name of Sabrina Wood. She was co-host of a lot of people would know her as the co-host of the Sci-Fi Sisters podcast. And I'm trying to pull up the tab. Give me 1 second. Can I pull it up or?
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, so her name is Sabrina Wood. She was co-host of a very popular podcast called the Sci-Fi Sisters. And the podcast was would focus on Star Trek fandom in addition to celebration of sci-fi, fantasy, and speculative fiction. And the way I came across it was I was specifically looking for a podcast that had a black host, talking about Star Trek. So I was a fan of this podcast for a minute. And last year I was hired by an organization called Steam Superheroes to write a comic book called Steam Superheroes of the same name. And it was a book that focused on celebrating STEM, the field of STEM, and highlighting some of the board members as scientists who are superheroes and save the day with science, with the sciences. But one of the things that I learned was that one of the board members of this nonprofit was Sabrina. So and just by happenstance, or because it's a small world, when I was brought on board and they were explained that one of the members of the Sci-Fi Sisters in the podcast, they were also really big supporters of the nonprofit, I the first time that I spoke to Sabrina and the other co-hosts was and told them that I was a big fan. So it was a small world that it was amazing that I was brought onto a project of with people that I really enjoyed their work. Sabrina worked with Steam Superheroes as their treasurer, and she was one of their board members, and was very instrumental in helping that organization to thrive as much as it has in their goal of spreading the ideals of STEM and STEAM to young adults, college students, and just anybody who they're able to get in front of, especially with going to different events, conventions, and whatnot. But it so this was it was very unfortunate to hear about her passing. I know that she affected a lot of people. She was very like I said, a few times that I spoke with her and had a chance to talk with her, she was a wonderful person. But like I said, I primarily know her from listening to those episodes of Sci-Fi Sisters. And the Star Trek fandom has stepped up in a major way to give their condolences, and the same thing with fans and other members of the Trek fandom and Black sci-fi, I think, in general. So just wanted to, like I said, take this time to honor her memory. And like I said, she was a wonderful person and she will be missed. So my condolences to her family, friends, and everybody, who have been kind of touched and graced by her life. But that's but like I said, I just wanted to say a few words.
Well said. And another someone taken far too soon, unfortunately. Yeah, it's always tragic, but having such love being poured out shows you that that there's a heart out there.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful, and to that they'll just get, and gratefully enough, maybe past episodes people will listen and they'll hear the conversations that they're having, and it'll just enrich the memory of her even more to everyone. Which is beautiful. All right, so on that note, folks, we are going to bid you adieu. Thank you very much for joining us, as always. Much appreciated. Look, do what you can. Enjoy yourself. There's so much out there between comics and TV and movie and gaming and all the stuff. Enjoy it all, revel in it, and support those who are out here talking about the stuff that you enjoy. Support them in whatever way that you can, whether it's listening, whether they got a Patreon, whatever it is, and support them and let them know that you enjoy them. Don't wait till people are gone. Let them know while they are here.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow's not promised, unfortunately. It's not. All right. So on that note, folks, I am Antonio Pomares, aka the Hungry Bleak.
And I am Robert J.
That's it. Folks, have a very good day. Enjoy the rest of it. Excuse me. And we will see you again Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Hungry Bleak Show will be live. I'll be doing pretty much a complete rundown of New York Comic Con, or as much as I can remember. And I'll have a couple of reviews for you as well, because a couple of new comics came out today that I definitely want to read. And then we'll go from there. All right. You have a very good day. Enjoy the rest of it. Be safe. And we'll talk to you later. Bye.